to ride my bicycle. I want to ride it where I like.
My good friend Jiraiya and I have been wanting to build a cycling deck for a long time. I even tried to build Sephiroth of the Hidden Ways into a cycling deck, but it was so bad that I boxed it up and exiled it. We knew we wanted white in the deck because Astral Slide is a thing, not to mention Astral Drift. And it would be very hard to build a cycling deck without new perspectives, so the deck had to have at least white and blue. When we saw Abdel Adrian Gorions Ward, we knew we were onto something. However, Jiraiya beat me to the punch, so I can't claim credit for this deck list. But I did get his permission to do a video on it, so here we are. Quick reminder to like and subscribe before we look at our commander pairing. I've been ecstatic with the growth this channel has had so far, and I'm excited to see where we're going. If you want to support the channel directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/Danon. One of the tiers is specifically set up for commander. For only $25, I will build you a custom commander deck and even do a deck video on it based around your specifications. With that out of the way, let's get into the video. Abdel Adrian Gorions Ward is a 5-mana 4/4 legendary human warrior. Whenever he enters the battlefield, exile any number of other non-land permanents you control until he leaves the battlefield. We then create a 1/1 white soldier creature token for each permanent exiled this way. And, like all monocolored commanders from Battle for Baldur's Gate, we get to choose a background. For this one, we're using Candlekeep Sage. This blue enchantment makes it so that whenever our commander either enters or leaves the battlefield, we draw a card. So this deck is going to draw cards. It's also a budget deck, coming in at a very reasonable $75. We know we want to cycle most of our deck, but we also want some flicker and enter the battlefield effects as well. So what does Jiraiya have in store for us? Before we get into the list, we should keep in mind our checklist. 50 mana sources, usually split between 37 lands and 13 pieces of ramp, 10 pieces of card advantage, 8 to 10 pieces of spot removal, 2 to 3 board wipes, 2 pieces of graveyard hate, and 1 sudden I win card. This deck has tons of combos in it, so what we're going to do is go over the deck list, then we'll dig into the combos. I'm sure many of you will pick up some of them along the way. To start, let's take a look at our interaction. We have Swords to Plowshares, Angel Song, Aura Extraction, which can also be used as card advantage for us, Wipe Clean, Generous Gift, Rebuild, Choking Tethers, Venser Shaper Savant, Cast Out, Skyclave Apparition, Reflector Mage, Nimble Obstructionist, and Reality Acid. For counter magic, we've got Censor, Miscalculation, Countervailing Winds, and Neutralize. To protect our board, we've got Gilded Light, as well as an Achroma's Vengeance as our single board wipe. You'll note that almost all of the cards I just mentioned have cycling. To refill our hand and dig through our deck, we're running Mental Journey, Hieroglyphic Illumination, Mulldrifter, Cloud Blazer, Curator of Mysteries, Reconnaissance Mission, and Teferi's Ageless Insight. Auramancer, Archaeomancer, and Sun Titan for some light graveyard recursion, as well as a Moonblessed Cleric for a tutor effect on a body. For mana rocks, we've got Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Felwar Stone, Mind Stone, Marble Diamond, Sky Diamond, and Thought Vessel. Wayfarer's Bauble, Solemn Simulacrum, Knight of the White Orchid, and Core Cartographer for land fetching, along with Cloud of Fairies, and Peregrine Drake for untap shenanigans. For lands, we've got Command Tower, Glacial Fortress, and Skycloud Expanse, along with Irrigated Farmland, Ash Barrens, Blasted Landscape, Desert of the Mindful, Desert of the True, and Secluded Steppe for cycling, plus 11 plains and 13 islands. Now, our flicker effects include Yorion Sky Nomad, Lumbering Battlement, Felidar Guardian, Charming Prince, Escape Protocol, Astral Drift, and Astral Slide. Our cycling enablers consist of Bag of Holding, Fluctuator, Drakehaven, and New Perspectives. Rounding out the core of our deck, we have Valiant Rescuer, Dranith Healer, Ominous Seas, and Shark Typhoon. Finally, as an optional win con, we have a Laboratory Maniac. Okay, so now we have the entire deck list, let's talk about how to play this wild ride. We have 8 cards, including our commander, that allow us to repeatedly flicker our creatures, which means cards like Paragon Drake or Cloud Blazer enter multiple times. This also means that Moonblessed Cleric can tutor for any of the key cards in our deck: Astral Slide, Astral Drift, New Perspectives, or Teferi's Ageless Insight. Yes, Teferi's Ageless Insight is insane in our deck. When we cycle a card, for free with the right setup, we draw 2 cards. This allows us to churn through our deck at a frightening pace. But even without Teferi's Ageless Insight, we can flicker Abdel Adrian Gorions Ward, bring back all of our creatures with powerful ETB effects, and then bring Abdel back, exiling them all again and making a ton of 1/1 tokens. This deck is insanely fun to play, but it does take a few turns to get started. We are a budget deck after all. So let's compare our list to our checklist. 50 mana sources, split between 36 lands and 14 pieces of ramp. 12 pieces of card advantage, counting our background. 19 pieces of interaction. 1 board wipe. No graveyard hate. 1 sudden I win card. So the deck doesn't have any graveyard hate, but we're fine with that. What we do have is a ton of exile effects and ways to repeatedly mess with our opponent's boards. Remember, both Astral Slide and Astral Drift can be used to target our opponent's creatures. This deck is capable of explosive turns, but does require a bit of setup to pull off. Seriously, when you have both a Teferi's Ageless Insight and either a New Perspectives or a Fluctuator on board, you'll see what I'm talking about. As far as upgrades go, you can go one of 2 ways. First of all, a Talisman of Progress is a great addition, but with Wizards taking their sweet time reprinting it, it's almost the same price as a Hallowed Fountain. I'd also look at adding a Sea of Clouds and maybe a Chromatic Lantern to help with mana fixing. But if you want to be really mean, especially with today's meta of multicolored decks and people running a ton of non-basics, you could cut most of the non-cycling lands and run a back to basics. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, a huge shout out to my editor Cute Stuff. I couldn't make these videos without her. If you'd like to hire her to edit your own videos, there's a link to her Fiverr page below. I post new Commander videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or you can click here for additional Commander content. Again, huge shout out to Jiraiya for building this deck for me. It's a beast, but also a ton of fun to play. I hope you enjoyed the video. Stay safe, and I'll see you all again next time on Commander by Damon.